mathematicians, it's Miss Johnson, and I am so excited about today's lesson. We are going to take some notes, so go ahead and get your notebook and put your date on there. Today's lesson is about something that you have never learned about before, and that is so exciting to me. The topic for today is integers. I love it when y'all get to learn something new. And in 6th grade, you're going to get to learn a lot of new stuff. All right, so integers are whole numbers. And y'all have been learning about whole numbers for a long time. So think about what a whole number is. Yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on forever. I'm going to put those little dots there. It's whole numbers and their opposites. Well, I know you know what opposites mean in English, but what does it mean in math? It kind of means the same thing. So think about it. If I said, what's the opposite of tall? You would say short. What's the opposite of big? Small. What's the opposite of up? It's down. Well, what's the opposite of positive? These are positive. What's the opposite of a positive? Yeah, negative. So opposites are the negatives that go with the whole numbers. A lot of times in math, you're going to see it on a number line. 0 splits the integers right in half. 0 is not positive, and it is not negative. It is the only number that is not positive or negative. Every other number is positive or negative. So 1, we don't say it's positive, but it is. 2, 3, 4. We don't put the little plus sign, but we know it's there. It's like invisible. Then the numbers to the right of 0 are positive, and then the numbers to the left of 0 are negative. And they keep going forever too, just like the numbers on the right. The negative numbers are smaller than the positive numbers, and we'll talk more about that later. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about, so where do we see integers at? Where do we see integers at? Well, a lot of times, negative numbers and positive numbers are used to describe change. So I am on a diet, and if I lose weight, that would be a negative. So if I lose 10 pounds, that would be a negative 10, would represent how much weight I lost. Okay. It's also used to show change in other ways, like if you have a bank account, you put money in a bank and you take money out of a bank. So when you withdraw money, that takes it out, so that would be a negative. And when you deposit money, you put money in. Now, sometimes, which don't try your best not to do this. Sometimes it happens on accident, though. Try your best not to do this. Look right here. They had $10.03, and then they paid their phone bill. That was $72.50. So it was negative. It's coming out. And what happened? They had a negative 62.47 balance. So they owe the bank this much money. They didn't have it in there, and the bank took it out and to help them out, right? So we see it to represent change and to represent how much money they have. If you've ever paid attention to the stock market also looks at how things change. So this stock went down 58 hundredths. This one went down 3 61 hundredths, but these went up. Ooh, that went up a lot, 48, right? So the positives and negatives describe change. Sometimes the positive and negatives are a little tricky. Look at that YouTube video. Do you see where there's some positives and negatives there? You don't see the sign per se, but look right there. Thumbs up, those are positives, right? 37,000 thumbs up. And then the thumbs down would represent negatives, negative 751. So 751 people didn't like it, right? We also see it a lot in games, like in football games. If the team had a positive gain, it would be, what is this, 5, 10, 15, 20. That would be plus 20 yards. And then this one would be a -10 because they lost the yardage, right? Have you ever watched Jeopardy? Sometimes on Jeopardy, the scores go negative, right? Because you lose, if you don't get the question right, you lose that amount of money. Then look at this one. All 3 contestants were in the negative. Isn't that crazy? All right. Sometimes negatives are used to describe the position of something or to measure, okay? So not so much in the South, but in the North, they actually have, or where there's mountains, they actually have floors that are underground. And so those floors would be represented by negative numbers. Golf scores. The E represents even. So they came out, these would be 0. They came out exactly how the course was designed for, the number of strokes the course was designed for. And then these winners here, these people at the top, -4 and -1, they shot below what the normal range is. So that's why they have a negative, because they shot below that. And then these, at the further up you go, they went over. It's called over par. But right. We also use it to measure temperature, positives and negatives. So our positives, and then we go to 0, and then our negatives are below 0. And we know it's warmer up here and colder down here. So I would hate to live here. All right, 4 degrees, 9 degrees, -8 degrees. You would not catch Ms. Johnson there at all. No way. Another place that it's common for us to see, sorry about that, dropped on the papers, common for us to see negatives is sea level. I just love this picture. I wanted to show it to y'all. It says only 10% of any iceberg is visible. The remaining 90% is below sea level. So you can see right there, the sea level is just the level of the sea, and that is our 0 mark. So part of the iceberg is above, but a lot of it is below. Here's another example of sea level. Right, there's your sea level, and then this part right here would be below sea level, -155. And then sometimes they talk about divers and submarines and their position in the sea. So like this submarine is at -500 feet. Okay, now y'all are about to see my absolute favorite way to talk about integers. Okay, so this was the launch of SpaceX. It happened on May 30th, and this is the first time since 2011 that astronauts were flown into space by an American aircraft off of American soil. So this was super exciting to me. So you see right here, it says T, and then you see that little sign right there? No, it's not a hyphen. It's a negative because this represents the time before the launch. They're sitting on the launch pad waiting to get lifted off into space. Okay, I'm going to press play, and you're going to hear the lady say T-minus 30 seconds. Okay, and I'm going to let you watch the launch because I want you to see what happens after the 30 seconds. Okay, so this represents before the launch. You're going to hear her say it.
T-minus 30 seconds.
It's so exciting. See, they're getting ready. They're getting all the engines ready. They're about to start counting.
Pressing for flight. T-minus 15 seconds.
You heard her say it again. T-minus. That's our negative. That's the before the launch.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Here it goes.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9
Yay!
Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
Okay, watch what happens to the time down here. It's going to come back up in just a second. And watch what happens. There it is. It is not it's a plus sign now. It's a plus sign now. Why? Because it's after the launch. So now it's a plus sign. Before the launch it was a negative, and now it's positive. Okay, so negatives and positives are used everywhere. Everywhere for lots of different things. Okay, so integers are super important